When I was growing up in New York in the 1980s, I trained in Kung Fu Wushu under Grandmaster Alen Lee. But what really caught my attention back then were the Hong Kong Kung Fu movies. I was a big fan. It was around 1985. I lived in Forest Hills, Queens. However, my Kung Fu school was located in Midtown Manhattan on 27th Street. Sometimes I just couldn't take the heat. Nothing sounded better than air conditioning and watching Kung Fu movies on a hot New York summer. So I'd skip class and head straight to 42nd Street, where $3 got me a triple feature, a slice of pizza, 2 video games, and a Coke in the arcade that was on the corner of Broadway and 42nd Street. And that's where I discovered the 5 Deadly Venoms. And I first saw Carl Scott starring alongside Billy Chong in a movie called Hard Way to Die, doing his iconic leopard fist training scene. He was right there on the big screen, fighting with the Hong Kong stars like Billy Chong and Lo Mang, and that was the Toad from the 5 Deadly Venoms. A black man doing kung fu on a Hong Kong action films. It just blew me away. He was standing toe-to-toe and he looked like he belonged. Most foreigners in those movies stand out, but Carl didn't, in the best way possible. He blended his rhythm, his timing, his movement, his smile, even his size. It just all worked on screen. He wasn't the comic relief. He wasn't a villain. He was the hero, and that mattered to me. It's wild to think that he only made 4 movies. He deserved a bigger career back home in the U.S. Like Chuck Norris or Jim Kelly. Well, kind of like Jim Kelly. I wish he would have made more movies, too. But a few years back, I got to meet him at the New York Action Film Festival at an AMC theater on 42nd Street. And that was the same block where we used to watch the old Kung Fu movies as a kid. He gave kids like me a reason to believe that we could do it too. We could do whatever we wanted. Carl eventually disappeared from the spotlight, but I never stopped looking out for him. When his movies came out in the 90s on VHS and VCDs, I bought them all and still watch them sometimes. His presence stuck with me. His face, his style, his courage. You left your mark on a whole generation. Thank you for the great movies. Thank you for the inspiration. You'll always be part of my origin story. Rest in peace, brother.